Call the meeting to order. For those who care to, please rise for an opening word of prayer and a salute to the flag. Dr. Moore, would you open us in word of prayer, please, sir?
Our Father, we're always wanting to come before you with thanksgiving. Thankful for this community, thankful for our citizens, thankful for the men and women who work for the city and for the council and the time that they give, where all of our effort is intended to make this a better community. We continue to think about our friends in Joplin. We ask that you would encourage them and strengthen them and give their city leaders the wisdom to know how to press forward, give them the perseverance that's needed. And in all these things, we bring them to you because we believe you care. In the name of your Son, amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So a few announcements and appointments today. I would like to appoint Mr. Councilmember Gary Wilson to the Planning and Zoning Commission as a council liaison. Need a motion?
Motion.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion carries 6-0-1. Thank you very much. Also, we have, find it. Our newest member of City Council has a birthday coming up, Mr. Beard. I don't know how old you are, but I will find out, and we'll have a little fun with it later next year. Happy birthday, Mr. Quickenbeard.
They tell me it's the halfway point.
It's the halfway point of is my question.
No return.
No
return. That's right.
Better not be a half a century. That wouldn't be good.
And Mr. Harris. Where's Mr. Harris today? Huh?
He's partying early.
That I don't doubt. We'll have to give that to him here with some open. That's against a health violation, right? Also, we do have a presentation from Veterans Memorial. So, hey, Sean's here. Sean's here. You're here. All right, come on up.
Lowe's actually approached us about helping out with the Veterans Memorial. I'm going to let Sean speak to kind of what they did every weekend in May, but it turned out to the memorial the amount of $100. So we're going to kind of tell them what they did.
Basically, we presented to Jared here to try to help out the memorial. Of course, live in the community, see, go to the aquatic center and rec area. You know, I kept seeing that red line moving us as far as I'd like for it to move. So, in order for us to get back to the community and to the memorial, nice enough to donate his popcorn machine, which a lot of our customers love. So, and we originally started out with donations. Unfortunately, the first day when donations, just we were free popcorn to the memorial, and so I took it upon myself to utilize my store manager tool and try to do some discounts to entice customers to contribute more money. So, luckily that worked out. Over the I guess it was technically 5 weeks, we raised $1,100 to give back. So, that's pretty good. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, sir. So, and we appreciate what he does to help us out.
Thank you, Sean.
You bet. Thank you.
Jared, I don't think that'll fit in the drive-through window.
Right.
You may have to.
Door back over here.
You You want the stamp or the Sharpie?
Jared, did you want to mention anything about this
Yeah.
real quick? It's where you are and what we need to do?
Thank you for reminding me, Jim. As many of you know, we've been kind of at this for, I would say, going on about 12 to 18 months, raising money for the memorial. Extremely proud to update everyone that we are at $12,872 towards our $30,000 goal. Came a long way. A lot of that being private donations, strictly people wanting to buy a brick or paver for a loved one or in honor of or memory of a vet. Also just donations at large. So we're getting there. We put together some donation sponsorship opportunities for some of the bigger items. We're hopeful to maybe get individuals or companies to donate items, funds for items such as our eagle statues, our flagpole, the granite benches, and then the large monument. So we're getting there. What we're planning to do, whether we have all the money or not, we'll at least start construction later this fall. We're going to have a formal dedication on Veterans Day, November 11th. Hopefully, if we don't have the funds to build it all, at least if we get started, it'll bring project awareness into the funding after. So we'll at least substantially build it. So.
Any questions for Jared regarding the Veterans Memorial? The location, Jared?
If you look at the center from Miller, it's right to the left by the new pavilion.
Thank you. Mr. Blankenberry?
Have you considered maybe including a $250 or $500 level or something smaller, whether it's a smaller brick or whatever, to
Certainly.
maybe increase it?
Our brick pavers are on sale for $100. We did one round already. We sold approximately 69. We're getting ready to do a second round. Now that doesn't address that price point you're talking about, and maybe we can find something in that price point right there. But the price point we have right now, as far as, well, you can donate any amount, but actually getting the brick paver is $100.
Okay.
But
I just saw the $1,500 as a minimum here, so I was wondering about that.
Yeah. To your point, maybe we can come up with something in the middle of the road too.
Other questions, comments, Mr. Keeley? Anything at all? All right, Jared, thank you. Thank you. You want to roast now, Dennis, or do you want to do it later? No, stand up here. Ladies and gentlemen, Dennis Morgan is going to retire, and I hate to use those words. He's been a valuable asset to the city for many, many years. I'm going to read a kind of a short synopsis, some of the things that Dennis has done over the years for the City of Republic, but this doesn't encompass everything, but it gives us a start, kind of a little bit of background of what Dennis has done. The Republic Fire Department is facing an imminent era. Dennis Morgan is retiring on June 23rd. He's been in the department for 37 years, has seen the department grow from a volunteer department to a fully staffed department with 21 full-time personnel and 8 paid on-call firefighters. Change in the fire service in the time that Dennis has been with the department, and Dennis has had to grow with it. Dennis first came to the department in February 1974 as a volunteer firefighter. Dennis would work the graveyard shift at Dayco. We would run emergency calls with the fire department during the day when he should be sleeping. Dennis's wife would wake Dennis up in the middle of the day after a long shift night prior at Dayco so he could respond to the emergency that a citizen of the Republic was facing. At that time in the department's history, there were only 1 city fire engine, 1 rural fire engine, and 1 station, 2 apparatus. The city did not have any full-time fire department personnel. In April 1989, Dennis was hired by the city as Assistant Chief Inspector. He was the 3rd full-time staff member of the fire department and was the 1st full-time staff member that wasn't a chief. Since becoming a full-time staff member, Dennis has served in many positions on the fire department. He was acting fire chief for a year, assistant chief for 2 years, and became a captain of A shift when the city went to 3 staff positions in 1991. He has remained a captain of A shift since that time. When the department went to shift work, there was only 1 staff member working per shift per day. Over the last 20 years, the department has grown and now has 6 full-time per day, per shift. Dennis has worked with and had a major role in training the firefighters and had worked with Republic Fire Department. Dennis has served under 7 different chiefs with the department, worked with hundreds of firefighters that have volunteered or worked for the city and responded to thousands of emergencies within the City of Republic and the surrounding communities. Dennis is always willing to help with any and all that needed, no matter if it were an emergency that the job required or just helping hand a fellow firefighter or citizen needed. He has been a cornerstone of this greatly missed. Also, this fire department and the staff was built around different people. Dennis is one of those. people that this entire department was built around. We have one of the best staffs, one of the best fire departments in Southwest Missouri, in my opinion, and a lot of it's based on what you did and some of the things you brought to this fire department and took it from one level, took it clear to the next level. We certainly appreciate all the things that you've done, not only for the fire department, for the citizens too. And I'm sure everybody in this city at one time or another ran into you or known you, or you ran a call for them or something. I'm sure some of them know you by name, since we have some frequent flyers that like to call the fire department. The point. Now, when you read that, is that okay? Because the last time we had a retirement, I read the reception and I got in trouble.
Pass that pen over there.
There you win, don't turn.
Yeah, it's okay.
Thank you. There will be a reception on June 23rd from 3 to 4, Station number 1, to help celebrate Dennis's retirement. Dennis, from behalf of the city, the staff, and the council, we certainly appreciate all the things that you've done for this city, everything. All the years you put in, and all the service, and we have something for you. I'll take that last one. To read to 4:30. Let me get a picture. Fire station number 1.
3.
Oh.
The fire department.
You want to come right there?
Picture of my dad.
Say fire.
I hope to shine on both those days.
I've never been a large spokesperson, but I do appreciate just having the opportunity to serve as many years as I have, and I've enjoyed every day of it, and I'm going to miss it. A couple days ago, this has been the shortest 6 months that I've spent in my life, because I gave him my letter in January, because I had my mind made up. I've got 2 grandchildren that I want to spend some prime time with, and that's the reason that I'm retired now, rather than keep right on going as long as I can. The guys, which is sure to catch up with me sooner or later. I didn't want that to happen.
We've seen some of those guys. You can keep up with them.
It is my pleasure, and I thank council through all these years. Ms. Poole and I, we've been acquainted for so many years, and I thank everybody for making me part of it. So, as far as that, just thank you for the nice play.
Thank you for all your service. Anything you can do, Nick.
Took them a while, after you hollered fire, they all left.
They're quick.
Just break the door down, going out.
All right, no. I'd like to open it up now to citizen participation. Anyone not on the agenda, please step forward, state your name, sign in, give us your best 3 minutes. Anybody? Seeing none, citizen participation closed. Make a motion on the consent agenda. If there's Brenda would like to make a change on some of the minutes. Make a change on the minutes. Brenda, go ahead, please.
In the minutes under the consent agenda, I his name in there as voting instead of Gary Wilson, so we need to remove Shane's name and put Gary's in there as voting for that.
Everybody see that on the consent agenda on the prior meeting? Any questions? Need a motion to approve the changes Brenda has said.
Motion.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
No.
Any abstentions?
He's just been to be on
Well, no, on sewer averaging period, it wasn't a 7-0 vote.
That's not what we're
Well, it
voting
was
on.
on, I mean, it was on the, it's on, in the minutes.
Voting
On
unit
entry,
there's
Okay.
in the
Okay,
minutes,
that's fine,
and
that's
it's
fine.
approved. Now you can make a motion to further amend them.
You wait a minute, but do you still want to vote no on the change?
Was changed, not
Okay, never
approving
mind, I'm
minutes.
sorry.
Yes. How do you want to vote on that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, now you can make a motion. to-
Now, that motion carries 7-0.
On old business, section, Bill 1111, 0, I don't believe that's a correct vote.
I think
the
7-0 was just for the motion to do the second reading,
Okay,
and then further down it was
okay,
6-1 further down.
Okay.
Wasn't that correct, I remember?
Yes.
There was only one
nay
Yeah.
on that,
and that was
That's what it said. That was, Mr. Hart is referring to the actual motion, the 7-0, up a little further up.
yeah,
And then down below is the actual vote. Does that clarify that, Mr.
yeah,
Hart?
thank you.
You're welcome. Would you like to continue further with that, or?
No, thank you.
Okay. Anything else? I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion.
Second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? One abstention. Motion carries 6-0-1. Financial report, Mr. Krischke, since Mr. Harris is not here. Any questions for Mr. Krischke on financial report?
The amount of the bills, of course you'll see that in your packet, is for the public, $101,366.36. As Pete would say, pretty typical amount. There were a few expenses that you would see would be pretty normal throughout the year. There's a few in the fire department for some of their grant expenses that they brought forward to the council. Park has had some expenses as well. And then your typical expenses for public works and street improvement.
Questions on financial report to Mr. Krischke? Need a motion to approve financial report?
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Let's try that again. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. Report. Mr.
Two
Krischke.
real quick things are both on the administrator's report, but I just want to draw attention to two items, in particular, farmers market. I should probably do these in reverse order, but farmers market will be here this Thursday on Main Street, and then they'll be moving over to Orson, over on Route 60 afterwards. And the reason for that is the next item, which is the Highway 140 or 174 closure. MoDOT has announced that to be starting that work underneath the overpass or underpass rather, and they're going to be closing that down from June 20th next through, I believe, July 19th is the date that they're anticipating completion. So that portion of 174 will be closed down. We'll be rerouting or attempting to reroute truck traffic down Main Street. That's really the only option to get some of the larger vehicles in and around the Republic area. So because of that and the need to keep that open, that was one of the main reasons about moving Farmers Market over to Orseland. As a side note, Orseland's very excited. They wanted to to see what kind of success they would have out there, so they graciously accepted to move it out there. So I just want to make sure everybody's aware. There's a map at the back which will show you just basically, you're probably where all the message boards would be, indicating that 174 will be closed and what the alternate routes would be.
We've had several questions. I've been helping Chris with that. We've had several people ask if eventually they will move back to Main Street.
In kind of a 174, the closing really kind of gives us a good opportunity to see what it'll do out there on 160. So we'll have a good 3 or 4 weeks at least out there to evaluate whether that's the best spot to be or move it back down here. But hopefully it'll be a good spot for it.
What else do you have?
That was it.
Anything else?
Nope.
Thank you. Future community events, June 14th, exercise program, 1:30 to 2:30. It's a free event. Registration is not required. June 20th, swimming lesson. Session begins at 10 a.m. Must be 5 years old to participate. June 23rd, July 7th, and July 14th also is the arthritis exercise program, 10 to 11. Free event. Registration is not required. July 1st, the annual Have a Blast celebration opens at 6 p.m.
15.
Bands begin at 6:15. The fireworks begin at 9:40. Jared did make that correction. It is the 15th. And registration on July 5th begins for adult co-ed men's softball. Also on July 5th, evening swimming lessons begin at 7:10. Parent-child starfish swim lessons begin at 7:15 on July 5th. Also on July 5th, water exercise begins at 10 a.m. and 7:15. July 6th, the last day to purchase tickets for Republic Night at Springfield Cardinals. July 6th, senior water exercise program begins at 10:30. July 21st is Republic Night Cardinals. Game time, Jared? 7:07. They couldn't round it, make it 7:10. July 22nd, last day to register for Cheer Republic. Contact Parks Department at 732-3500. August 13th, the 5th annual Republic Triathlon, Tiger Triathlon. How many people, Jared?
We're hopeful the race sell out, which would be 500. We got about 450 last year.
Wow, that's an excellent turnout. How's that rank in the
We're still in top 5, which is great.
top 5? How many do they have year-round, roughly?
As far as overall participants, I don't really have a number. I know one of the biggest off is the Try to Do.
That's good. That's good. All right, thank you. Board Committee and Commissioners Reports, Board of Adjustment, July 7th. Capital Improvements, July 21st. June 27th, July 11th at Planning and Zoning, June 20th, and Mr. Wilson, you're on liaison for that one for June 20th. Okay. Yes, sir. Mr. Peckenbeer.
I'm over there June 20th as well.
Okay, fantastic. Yes, sir. Old business, we are complete. Moving on to new business. Need a motion to have the first reading of bill number 11-12.
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Motion carries.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri adopting the full-time job description for a front desk supervisor for the Parks and Recreation Department of the City of Republic, Missouri.
Thank you, Brenda. Mr. Keeling, please give us the overview.
Certainly. This ordinance will formally adopt the job description for a front desk supervisor position for the Parks and Recreation Department. As most of you know, we currently service that desk from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. Pretty much every single day. We do that with part-time staff right now. We typically employ a part-time staff that works from year-round. Have some turnover, fairly minimal, but it comes and goes, leads to retraining and all that stuff. But we're hopefully at a full-time professional at that desk from 8 to 5. A lot of responsibilities, but the main responsibilities obviously will include being the main community center. Just the phone alone is unbelievable over there. Toby does phone counts for us all the time, but our phone rings nonstop. She'll be supervising nighttime and weekend part-time receptionist. She'll act as administrative assistant to the 7 full-time advisory staff we have. prepare and disseminate written electronic informational and advertising pieces. I can't stress the importance of this enough. We currently do this pretty much with all of our rec staff combined, but newsletters, school newsletters, e-newsletters, press releases, web updates, things of that nature. Assist with grant research and reimbursement management. Time doesn't lend a whole lot to doing a lot of research, and especially when we get one too, as far as the management of that, and he or she will also be responsible for daily deposit. We have that tasked out to our athletic superintendent right now. Just this morning, I'll give you a typical morning. It was Monday morning. We had all an hour and a half to 2 hours to do that today. So a lot of money coming in the summer that he has to account for every day and be responsible for. What we're proposing to do is to have this be a grade 2, step 1 position. That translates to an annual salary of $24,000. For 2011, and I exhibit the change to full-time staff as opposed to part-time staff will amount to about $4,400, and then each anywhere from a $10,000 to $11,000 extra expense. Definitely feel like it's worth it. We're one of the only departments right now that does not have a full-time administrator sitting at the front desk. Feel like our customer service level to our citizens will only increase if we get this position. So.
Questions, comments, discussion? Mr. Hunsinger?
When do you intend to put it out for bid?
If all goes well here, we'll be done with the 27th. Hopefully to put it out around the second week in July. We're hopeful to have someone around the middle of August, somewhere in there. We budgeted on, but realistically, if we can get them in by mid-August, that would be a terrific thing. So, mid-August is a really good time to come in, right at the end of the summer, right before our training time there too. So,
other questions, comments, discussion for Mr. Keeler? Anything at all? This is the first read. If you have other questions, comments, ask those in the. We'll move on to the next item. Thank you, Mr. Keeler. Need a motion on the first reading of bill number 11-13.
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion carries.
The City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator to enter into a sewer cost share and reimbursement agreement with BT and TD Investments for the construction of a regional pump station.
Thank you, Brenda. Mr. Brock, welcome. Please give us the overview, sir.
Woodland Park Estate, single-family development under construction. It's only 15 acres, but it sits in the valley of a drainage basin that has acres located just kind of southwest of the police station. The project has been under development for a number of developers. Our original developer, the city entered a cost share agreement to share in the cost of regional pump stations. Is asking for the same agreement. Developer is BD and TD Investments LLC. Is here tonight representing the BD and TD, and they've done a real good job. The pieces out there and getting things moving forward again. So the ordinance that staff is adaptation of a previously entered agreement. The general changes, if you were to go dig through the details, owns a contracting company, TT&T, so the developer is doing the bulk of the construction on this lift station. So is not focusing so much on a developer who would contract out the work but perform that work himself or through his own. This is a very good deal for the city. We've got an existing pump station out there that was built in 1980. We would estimate a complete replacement of that facility about $55,000. So the city's share in this agreement is $46,000. We get to decommission a 20-plus-year-old lift station, and in exchange we get something that serves a much broader area.
Questions, comments, discussion for Mr. Brown? Mr. Hutzinger?
Does that include a new pump, all new equipment in there, or are you gonna?
Absolutely. All new.
Budgeted.
We budgeted this in 2009 and 2010, and on budget last year, Mr. Turner had not yet committed to this project, so no, it is not budgeted. However, I wish Pete were here to back me up on that. Fund has made good progress this year. The reserves are starting to build back up, and I guess we'll reading a statement on whether or not we can afford that. My view is we can, but I think you should hear that from your finance director.
With the appropriate budget amendments and make sure that we got everything covered, but it's really been carried over from year to year, so in technicality, the funds have into the accounts, into the reserve account.
You budgeted them, you never use them, he's rolling the next year.
Correct.
Fair enough. Thank you. Mr. Ward?
What would you anticipate before the end of the year?
I suspect so. They're wanting to phase, final plat, the first phase, the next 4 years. So once it's constructed, there's some paperwork to verify the expenses, so certainly would expect that.
Other comments, questions, or discussion? Mr. Brown? Since first reading, if there's other questions, comments, discussion in the meantime, please hold those questions second reading or ask Mr. Brown to meet. We'll move on to other business resolutions and discussions. Resolution number 11-R-31, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, contain breathing apparatus and rapid intervention team packing. A motion?
Motion.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Please give us the overview.
As all of you are aware, we received the Fire Act grant a few months ago, and this is part of the last section of the grant. We had a little bit of difficulty getting the bidding completed on the self-contained breathing apparatus because we weren't buying one for everybody in the city to look at their bottom line also. This vendor, which happened to be Firemaster out of Springfield, Missouri, came in under bid by $10 from the line item budget that was addressed in the federal grant. As you can see, the only bidder. We had asked for 3 others, but because of the allotment of only 6 units, that they wanted to bid. And we had the same problem with 3 other companies. Scott units are very, very good. They're used by Springfield departments, so we feel at this time that will not be detrimental to the department. And being as we could come in under this cost, we in the next few weeks, if you allow us to move forward with this purchase, and that will finish the truck to platform, which this grant was explicitly written for.
Questions, comments, discussion for Chief Hollingsworth. Anything else? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Chief. Resolution number 11-R-32, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri. Accept insurance company. Need a motion?
Motion.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Chief Hollingsworth, give us the overview, sir.
Public Education Officer Lori Cottrell had discovered online we fit all the guidelines for this particular grant. What we were looking for, we've all felt through the budgets in the last few years. Public education has been line itemed out, and we have some pretty aggressive developed over the years. Seniors that require assistance with smoke detectors, we have provided them for them. We go out and place in actually being used for what they've been asked for. We do help with maintaining them over the years by going out and putting into them when they request it. Also, this grant goes for a lot of handout information that we use at Pumpkin Days, at the Fall Festival, at other city functions, whether it's Expo or wherever we happen to be at. I assisted Lori with the narrative portion of the grant and put in and checked her documentation, and as you can see, we were on-match grant. They will give us $2,000, and we just have to use it for what we said we would use it for. Win-win thing for us. It'll tide us over to where we can continue our programs aggressively like we have in the past, which I think has minimal amount of fires that the city experiences, and the fact that we have not suffered a fire death. And I really attribute that to the fire prevention.
Questions, comments, discussion for Chief Osborne?
I have one other thing to... We're also partnering up with the HBA, Matt Morrow. They've expressed an interest as well getting involved with this program, and additional smoke detectors or help with the marketing of that still to be determined, but they are going to be working along with as many of these smoke detectors out into our existing homes as possible. So they'll be a big help.
Correct. Thank you, Jim. You told me to remember that, and I didn't have it wrote down in front of me, so.
Don't worry, I do that to him all the time. Any questions, comments, or discussions for Chief Osborne? Anything at all? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution number 11-R-33, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, authorizing the execution of a contractor agreement with Donaldson Construction Company, LLC, for micro-servicing of Island Green Subdivision, Scott Circle, and Jewel Street. Need a motion?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Brown, welcome back. Please give us the overview.
The city's used Donaldson Construction, which is owned by Cleverstone Quarries, microsurfacing for a number of years. We have received two proposals, or requested and received two proposals for microsurfacing and micropaving. One is to complete a portion of West Jewel and Scott Circle. This would be what the vendor calls a chip seal. And I guess I should backtrack just a bit. Microsurfacing and micropaving is kind of a catch-all term. The paving companies have really expanded the type of products that they can provide. It's not just the normal hot mix asphalt. So what we have here is two proprietary mixes. For Scott Circle and West Jewel, we would complete that with the same surfacing that was done 2 years ago, Dan? I believe so. Chip seal is a oil and is a very fine sand aggregate, cement binder. Works well for just getting a new surface on the street. The larger part of this contract would go to Island Green Subdivision. We were seeing a wholesale unraveling of the surface streets down there. The aggregate that was used is just breaking loose, and proposed to use what's called a max resurfacing. It's a much larger aggregate, a much heavier duty product. Proposing to do all the streets down there. The unraveling is worse in some areas than others. We want to try and stop that deterioration as quickly as we can. Price-wise, lump sum cost for Scott Circle and West Jewel just over $3,600. And for the Island Green subdivision, the max would go down at a unit price of $332 per square yard, and we're estimating right around $43,000, I believe, for to complete all the streets in Island Green. Total contract price $49,625.
Questions, comments, discussion from Mr. Brock? Mr. Hart, time frame?
Mr. Harder, I will have to get back with you on that. I believe, and you may know, on Jewel and Scott Circle, that would need to be crack sealed first before that goes down, and I honestly can't remember if that's already been done or not. Certainly prior to the fall.
Okay. All right, thank you. Ms. Poole?
Is that not what we used when we did Kimberly Street and it cracked so bad?
It was
micro paving.
micro-surfacing.
Yes, it was.
But Kimberly
didn't
Street
last.
was way too far gone. We're trying to learn. We recognize we had, when we first tried to use this project, we applied it on streets that had too much damage and should have been just a regular overlay or a complete rebuild.
Well, I remember it was a mess. Just wondered if that's the same thing we're going to carry through with, the same type of stuff.
It is,
because if it is, we're wasting our money.
It is, Mrs. Poole, but I think we have a better idea of what makes a good candidate, what application should be used on what type streets. There's a lot of, a number of years ago, we thought might be candidates for micropaving. We know now they're so far gone, they just need to be removed and replaced. And you'll see our each year we're trying to move through and take care of the worst of those. Rosewood, I guess, would be a good example there. We do think that these streets will get another 10 to 15 years of use out of them before any wholesale maintenance would have to be done. None of these are as deteriorated as Kimberly was.
We didn't know that Kimberly was pretty deteriorated that and used the money to do it.
I guess I will reply, Mrs. Poole, is I think a much more knowledgeable staff, more experienced, better able to determine what maintenance is for a given street.
Just to expand, clearly that was one area we could have or should have done better, and it was primarily because we were uncertain of this new process and what it could do.
I know it was a new product.
And fortunately now we have other staff members that have a lot more experience in actual road maintenance and construction, so we have now having more experience in the street department, as well as knowing this product line a whole lot better and knowing what it can and cannot do. But it wasn't, we're not foolproof. We will make our share of mistakes, and probably it was one of those that we'd like to have back again and try it. We did learn from it, and we will make sure that we don't have those things happen again.
Mr. Harder?
They have paved Scott Circle, part of it, and part of Jewel, and it's held up very well, but I would like to caution where you make your first left off of Jewel onto Scott Circle, that area right there where they didn't mark, right there at the edge, that's in bad shape right now, so you might want to look at that a little closer.
Mr. Quickenbeard?
Had the contractors look at it and give us their opinion, and do they guarantee it for a certain period of time if they say this is a surface that's attempting this?
They have looked at the product and agree that this is an appropriate treatment. All our contractors have a 1-year warranty. Donaldson is we have a pretty good relation with them. So in the written contract, we don't have any warranties beyond the 1 year, but I think they're a company you can count on to do you right, so to speak. But I guess by the letter of the law, the contract, we would have a 1-year warranty.
Is that standard industry practice?
It is.
Other questions, comments for Mr. Fry? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Fry. Resolution number 11-R-34, resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, authorizing the police department to apply for the 2011 Hiring Recovery Program grant. Need a motion?
Motion.
Second. Have a motion. Have a second. Welcome, Chief. Give us the overview, please.
This is the federal government's Office of Community-Oriented Policing Hiring Recovery Program grant. And this grant, or one similar to it, have been around for a number of years, and we've applied for it in the past, and I think 5 times it's always been approved but never funded, and I'm not going to say that we're going to get funded on this year's, but we're optimistic. Based on our eligibility, our agency, we're allowed to apply for 1 officer for community-oriented policing. That doesn't mean we hire the new officer and they do the community-oriented policing. We would utilize other officers that have experience and training in order to continue to do the things like the Citizens Police Academy or the other crime prevention programs we do. We'd like to try, it's addressed in here, a crime-free multi-housing. As you may have heard, we've had a few instances here and there in some of our multifamily housing developments. We've had some issues with some neighborhood burglaries and commercial burglaries, and we'd like to focus on some of those areas. And we'd like to do things like neighborhood watch programs and see if some bike patrols in the neighborhoods and other things. And by hiring this officer, that will hopefully free up enough time to enable us to move forward on some of those many other things we'd like to be able to accomplish for the citizens of the Republic.
Questions, comments, discussed with Chief Lowe? Anything at all? Here for.
Well, I will be back in here saying, we need to pay for this, and I will be looking upon the hopefully the generosity of our finance director.
How many years out, did you say?
They pay for 100% for 3 years. On the 4th year, we pay for it.
Similar to our fire department grant. I forgot how that went. It was stair-step down. This was just 100 and then 0. So, Lowe, in my opinion, he'll be planning that in his budget over the next 2 to 3 years. I can almost guarantee you. Because that's exactly what Chief Compton had to do. Is he had to break that down over the life of the deal to keep those people on. So that was part of the program.
I guess that's my question. In hindsight, has that been a good fiscal? Has it fiscally been a good idea?
Beneficial.
We talked about it earlier this afternoon. When Councilman came in, asked some questions about the grant specifically and about the SAFER grant for the fire department. In early 07, when we were the second fire station in Brookline, we took advantage of a SAFER grant. We made 9 additional hires, and that particular grant has escalated from paying for it at 80% the first year, then 60%, 40, 20, and then eventually in the 5th year, that cost fell to 50, which we're in now. So absolutely certain, it definitely put a strain on us. The first few years it was great, but now we're absorbing 100% cost of those 9 firefighters. Of course, we got increased service and a second man station, but it doesn't go without some expense. This is 100% for 3 years, and the 4th year is on us. As the chief and I talked earlier today as well, you get approved, not too difficult to get approved for the grant, but then the difficulty comes in as there's X number of dollars and the chances of getting funded are slim. This is just a resolution to apply for the grant. If we get selected and if the money gets appropriated, we would be back to council saying do this or not. So we would still have the opportunity to say no. Applying for it is always good, in my opinion, is that we keep our name in front of the proper agencies so that people know we're out there. But if Pete were here, he'd probably tell you if we had all and can tell you where we'd be in 3 years from now. 3 years ago, we thought we were doing great, and now we're back at 2000. So it definitely is a risk. A need for the officer, but a risk on the budget.
And, I mean, just to clarify, I'm not saying, you know, there's no way you don't need another officer. I don't know whether you're the expert there, that's why we rely on you. But I do think we as a board or a council need to understand that 3 years from now, that officer's no longer free. And we've got to be able to take his wages and benefits from that day forward.
Mr. Quickenberry.
Is it just a 4th year that we're committed to, or is
We
it
only have to-
ongoing beyond that?
On the federal grants, there's usually a stipulation, you will agree to retain that position for a blank period of time, 1 to a couple of years. In this COPS grant, you only have to agree to the position for 1 year past the end of the grant. So it's at the end of the 4th year, if we couldn't afford it, and we had to do a reduction in force, we could eliminate that position.
In today's dollars, what is that 4th year?
Well, we've got to project out of here. It's just hard to tell based on what we're going to do as far as any types of insurance costs or anything else, but you can figure we're probably into $1,000 per year when you roll in cost of salary, benefits, insurance, and training and those things.
Based on the numbers that were in the grant application, I'd say 4th year's going to be around $48,000.
Just 4 years out, it's hard to tell where the dollars are going to
You get 3 free years later.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. But on the flip side, I think it's easy to say, yeah, we're only to keep that person for 1 year after the end of that, but it's a whole lot different story on the beginning of year 5 to say, you know what, you're not paid for it. That'd be difficult. That'd be very difficult.
Well, and the reality, we have our normal attrition.
Well, that's what I was going to ask them.
So on an average, we lose a couple people a year that move to either out of law enforcement or other career fields or whatever. And so we're going to have our normal attrition.
You're not required to keep the same levels or greater?
For 1 year, after the end of the grant period.
Okay. I
Yes.
understand that, yeah.
Not the same position, but you're right, the same level.
At the end of that 4th year, during the
Yeah,
attrition, if
4th
someone
year,
retires
someone retires after that.
in November or something, then I'm going into that 5th
Right,
next
after the
year.
5th year.
And again,
Again, I'm not speaking necessarily against this, I'm just trying to hold hard facts.
No,
that
that's good.
We need to keep in mind if and when the funding becomes available.
and to your point, Mr. Grooms, as we look at this particular resolution, it is only to apply if and when this is funded. That Pete will be able to give us a better view of what the financials are for the long haul, and Chief will have maybe a better handle on his budget too. Just say, this is where we are, this is what we'll be, and this is the exact dollars.
Okay.
So, again, this is only to apply for the grant. Those are all, we're leading down the path that we need to be fiscally responsible. I totally agree with you. I think everybody in the room would say we need to be 3, 4, 5, 7, 10 years down the road and look at that. We definitely point now where we need to apply for it, make sure that we understand the ramifications of applying for it too. And I think you pointed those out. Mr. Harder, did you have additional comments?
I know that the police department looks favorably on military personnel to be in the police department. How would this, if this go through, if you hired a military personnel and they got called up or whatever, how would that affect you? Or
We actually have, I think we're down to 3 active members of our department that are in the National Guard or the Military Reserves, and they keep getting.
I know. How would this, if the person chosen was military and they got called up, how would that affect us?
Wouldn't have any impact on it, on that, because the person we hire is not the one we'd necessarily be utilizing to meet the community policing.
Right.
It would be either a combination of several other officers, or we don't have the ability to really dedicate one officer, so it would be a combination of several other officers fulfilling those community
and it would be a good basketball player, because you need one.
Not that you're aware of right now. How bad did you guys get beat by 3-1? I'm just asking.
I'm pretty sure that there was some officiating problems.
Jared.
You know, again, I'm not going to the officiating because I know that guy's a stand-up individual and would call it fairly as much as he could. However,
Well,
it does, you guys, how many points did you score? I'm just curious.
it was in the 50s, and they happened to score about 30 more than that.
Okay.
Well, that's where the scoreboard stopped.
That's where the scoreboard stopped?
Yeah.
Running clock?
I would hazard a guess he knows exactly.
I try and block out traumatic events from my...
Hey, Jim, they didn't invite us to play. And that's all I got. I mean, good thing. I mean, really.
I don't know, you might have been a help, Jim. I saw the game.
20, 30 with them. Anyway, any other questions that are pertinent to Chief Lowe and the grant that's in front of you? Mr. Clinkenbeard, did you have any additional comments? Anything else, council? That game was atrocious, so let's say all. Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Yeah. Need a motion. I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Any abstentions?